Hello, everybody. I'm going to make sure that we're live. It looks like we are. Happy Sunday, not Monday morning. Usually it's Monday morning when I'm chatting with you, but I have a college visit planned for one of my kids tomorrow, and so I will not make it into the studio until later in the afternoon, and I didn't want you to have to wait. So I am here on a Sunday and just knocking out my Monday to-do list so that way I'm not behind because I can do that. It's one of the perks of entrepreneurism. So it's good to chat with you. We're going to talk about everything that the kids are learning in classes. I've got a few examples I'm going to show you so you can see where we're at in our progress, and then I'll let you go. Sound good? All right. So just a couple intro notes. It is the third week of February for most of you. Almost everybody is the third week of February. Few exceptions. Some of our Thursday and some of our Friday kids are actually in their fourth week. And so when we get to each individual section, if you're actually a fourth week, we'll talk about what you're doing because it'll be different than everybody. Sound good? Other little bit of intro notes that I have that I think is important. Tomorrow, which is Monday, President's Day, there are no classes for our preschoolers. All of our multimedia and drawing kids, you guys still meet. We're not able to take it off because there's only 4 Mondays in the month of February, and your class meets 4 times a month. So if I could give it to you off, I would, but we can't because paid for 4 classes, and so that's what you get. But for my preschool kids, you guys are in the preschool fundamentals or the toddler class, you guys only meet 3 times a month, so we're able to take the day off. So if you are in the Flatwoods, Liberty doesn't have morning classes, but if you're at Flatwoods on Monday mornings for preschool fundamentals or for toddlers, you guys don't have class tomorrow, the 19th, so don't come. The other note that I have is that if you're in a Thursday preschool class on 2/22, you also don't have class. And we'll talk about why when we get to this next section. That's it. Here we go. So preschool classes, which that's totally, is that the right date? It's not 2/22. It is 2/22. 2/19, yeah, 2/22. Typo. Thursday 2/22 is what that should say. There's no classes. So the Monday people, we already talked about the reason you don't have class is because of President's Day. The Thursday people, the reason you don't have class is because you're a week ahead of everybody else. And so you've already had your 3 classes. You wrapped up last month with Ain't Gonna Paint No More. And you will have this week off and you will have next week off. And we'll remind you on that because there's 5 Thursdays in the month, which is why you have 2 days off, 2 weeks off in a row. Friday people, you still have class this week. Even though you were ahead of everybody, you took last week off. So you still have to come this week. If that's confusing, reach out, let me know. Reminder, you can always find your class schedule specifically for your kid, for your registration. It's not willy-nilly. We don't make it up on the fly. The schedule is set by like June of last year. And it's in our booking system and it's in the Sawyer registration. So you can find it when you register for your classes. It's actually under dates. When you click the calendar on that class listing, it's also inside your Sawyer account. It's populated already on a calendar for you. So if you log into Sawyer and then go to your My Calendar, you'll see it there. You can export those to your Google Calendar or to your Apple, what's it called, iCalendar, if you want to, or you can just find them in Sawyer. If you have questions, let me know, and I will put links to that in our video, or like not in the video, but in the email when we send the video, so you can see how to find your schedule. I know it's confusing for my 3 time a month people, but just remember, no classes Monday or Thursday for those preschool classes. The other thing I'll say is if you're in a Tuesday class, you guys do have class, or if you're in a Thursday class, I'll tell you what you guys are doing in class this week, all right? It is your last class of the month, and you are reading Ain't Gonna Paint No More by that one's Karen Beaumont. And it is a messy body painting exploration. So it should be fun. We're going to finish up on a project that is a portrait. So we've been taking pictures of the kids, and we'll actually make art on those photographs for our project time. And that'll wrap up our month. Monday people, you will wrap up your month next week. Multimedia kiddos. So if you are in a multimedia class, your classes meet like normal this week. Everybody's here. Nothing special going on. K first, second, third, and K through third, it's printmaking month. You guys did all of your monotype backgrounds. And so now we're getting all the foam block prints on top. So if you're in a Monday and Tuesday class, you probably have your background done. You probably have most of your foam pieces created. And some of you even might have started printing, but probably not. You will print this week. If you're in a Thursday class, you probably have started printing. So this one here was one of them in the cubby I pulled from a Thursday. You can see how much further along they are. All the really great details in our backgrounds. So these ones are done. There's nothing else that needs to be added to them. All they need is their map and they need their artist statement. So if you're in a Thursday class, most of them are at this step. There are some that maybe missed a class and they're a week behind, or maybe they were taking a little bit longer on their foam block printing stamps. And so they didn't print last week, so they'll print this week. But everybody should get to this stage if you're in a Thursday class, and then we'll work on getting your mats and your artist statements written. If you're in a Monday, Tuesday class, we just want to get you to this step because you'll still have next week where you can get it all finished. It's easier to finish them when the black ink is not wet. Hopefully we send them home dry for you. Since the matting and the artist statement writing doesn't take the full hour long of class, we'll also, for my Thursday people, and then also for next week's Monday, Tuesday people, that 4th week class, we'll have a whole bunch of printing stations set up so that they can just continue to explore printmaking either in their journal or on extra like multimedia paper. For my 4th and 5th and my homeschool kiddos, remember they're doing collagraphs. So for 2 weeks, remember the first week we like played around with printmaking and learned what a collagraph was. The second week we started building, and the third week we finished building. So for 2 weeks we're building. Thursday people finished their building last week, building their collagraph, I should say. And a lot of them got some printing done. So I did bring some printing and I tried to match up like what the collagraph is with what the print is. Monday and Tuesday people, you'll probably get to this stage. Any Thursday people that didn't get printing will get you printed this week because you got to finish up. So this is the collagraph. This is that manila folder, and you can see we've rolled ink on it and we've pulled a print from it. This is not the art. This is what we use to make the art. It's like a stamp. This is the actual art. So this is the collagraph. We have black mats to finish it. So similar to our K1, second, thirds, K-thirds, they're not done. I mean, we're done with the printing part, but we still have to do all of the finishing parts. So these guys will get the black mats to finish. We also have something really special for them. We've got embossing powder. So we're going to let them do some starry details in their background where they'll actually stamp stars. While that ink is still wet, add an embossing powder and hit it with heat gun. And it makes a dimensional, like metallic, it's embossed. It's really cool. So like I said, so these two go together. This is the stamp. This is the print. Other ones that I found in the back that I thought were really, a lot of them were really cool. I couldn't always match up the collagraph with the print. I didn't spend a lot of time on it either, but I wanted to be able to show you. This is the collagraph. This is the print. What a fun set of buildings. They're all so different, you guys. Okay, and then let's see, which one went with what? This one. I did that one. Well, I guess these don't match up, but I'll just show it to you. Maybe I'm just confused. But anyway, so these ones here, these are done, and so they'll do all of their finishing. They'll do all their embossing, they'll do their matting, they'll do their artist statement. These are Thursday classes. A lot of our Monday, Tuesday classes are finishing up their gluing on their actual like manila folders, and they will do their first run of printing. Some of our kids did the first print and they were like, I got it. Like I nailed it. I got the exact right amount of ink that I needed. I got it printed before it dried, all the things. Like I didn't get fingerprints all over it, and they nailed it on the first time. But most of our kids take 2-3 prints before you get a good one. And you're like, that's the one I'm gonna frame. Okay. And that's okay. That's why we have enough time to go ahead and print. So 4th and 5th grade on Thursdays, you guys will be bringing artwork home. Homeschool, all the homeschool classes are Monday, Tuesdays. You guys will not bring anything home, but Thursday classes will bring stuff home, and then Monday, Tuesday, you guys will finish next week. 6th, 7th. Oh, I didn't change that one. It should say 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th. I was doing this really fast tonight, you guys, because it's Sunday. Ooh. It should say 6th, 7th, and 8th through 12th. You guys are carving on lino. So this is that battleship lino that we have with the sharp carving tools, and they are doing landscapes with, I love this one, you guys. Can you see the like the sides of the mountains? She's used almost like a cross hatching detail to give us shading, something that isn't like, it isn't completely carved away like this area here. This is completely carved away, so it will print white, right? These guys here will print gray. Not really gray, but when we do a cross hatching like that, it looks like a lighter value than the darkest value. So got some really great stuff happening there. Here's one. This person has already printed. So some of our kids, this is a Thursday artist. Our goal is to finish and print this. Some of our kids, like this week, some of our kids last week finished and got to print. And so I couldn't find the paper, most likely because it was not a print that they wanted to keep. But you can see the difference because once it's been printed, the ink really helps us to see what's it going to look like when it's done. So this one here, this was actually already printed. Like I said, I couldn't find the paper back there. Maybe it wasn't worth keeping. Maybe they took it home. I don't know. But I did want to show you this. Sometimes they'll print and they'll be like, oh, I want to add something here in this space or in this space. You know, we can't put back what we've carved away, but we can carve out more. Sometimes you don't see that until you actually make a print. So that's what our big kids are doing. Our middle schools and our high schools are doing their carving and their printing. Like I said, Monday, Tuesday, we'd really like you to finish your carving this week and hopefully like either pull a print or be ready to start printing next week. Thursday artists, we want like everybody's printing. If you are not ready to print on Thursday and you need more time to carve, I would recommend coming in, or Liberty people come in on Wednesday so that you can get that done. If you're in a Thursday class in Flatwoods and you're like, I think we are not ready to print, reach out to the studio because we don't have a makeup time before your class, but it's something that I'm sure they could work with you out there to have you come in maybe just before your class. And that way you'd have 30 or 45 minutes extra before your class to sit and do your carving so that you're ready to print. I mean, worst case scenario, you don't get it printed this week. You can always come in and do a makeup. But if you want to stay kind of on track and you need a little extra time, we'd love to get that to you. Creative Explorations, kids. I gotta get my brain wrapped around this. So Friday classes didn't meet. Wednesday and Friday classes this week all meet. So there's nothing odd about our schedule this week. Both classes, we only meet on Wednesdays at Flatwoods and Fridays in Liberty. There aren't very many of these classes. So that's why it's easier for me to figure it out. But both sessions in both studios will wrap their February stations this week. So all of those like jelly plates and monoprints and the Andy Warhol soup, still life and all that, this will be the last day to do all of that stuff. Because the next time you come in, it'll be a whole different setup. It'll be all the March stations. So speaking of which, before we get into that, let me say just a heads up for next week. So if you're in a Wednesday class in Flatwoods, next week, which is, let me get the date right, 2/28, you guys don't have class because that's your fourth Wednesday of the month. So we've met the first three. We'll take a day off. We'll be back in March. If you're in a Friday class in Liberty, we took last week off. So we're finishing this week. And then next Friday is actually March 1st, believe it or not. Crazy, right? So we'll start March curriculum next week. Okay. And then as far as those March stations go, it will be mixed media. So there will still be some printmaking opportunities since we are using printmaking in a mixed media. A lot of collage, cutting and pasting, collaging, printing, painting, kind of incorporating all of those things. The other thing we're going to work on in our creative exploration, similar to our drawing, is encouraging our kids to create something to go into the art show. So it's always optional. It's not something they have to do, but if they would like to work on a piece for the art show and they would like an instructor to, I don't know, talk them through their plan, ask them questions, help them troubleshoot, and then see them through to a finished product, we will help them. That is not really what this class is about. It's also not really what the art show is about. Or art show. It's not really what the drawing classes are about either, but that's what they're doing next month. Because we want to make sure that we give them the opportunities. If they don't, and they're like, I just want to like explore my stations, then that's fine too. It's totally fine. But we want to make sure that we present that to them. So if your kid comes home and asks about it or talks about it, that's what it is. Totally optional. All the stations will still be out. They just want to explore stations. they can totally do that, but we will talk to them about the art show so that way they hear it from us. Starting in March. Drawing classes. So drawing 101, I got to get out my notes because this is when I start to get confused. Drawing 101. Monday and Tuesday classes. You guys are drawing from imagination. Thursday classes, you did this last week. Remember, we always draw from life. We draw from photograph. And we draw from imagination. So this one is our imagination one. We're doing a kind of a doodling type pattern drawing. This one uses hearts and heart shapes in still a figure, people-ish humanoid composition. So we're looking for creatures or critters or humanoid type things. So still all the body parts, but using different shapes and problem solving to do that. So that's what our Monday and Tuesday classes will be doing. Thursday classes, you did that last week. So you move on to the fourth lesson of the month, which is drawing from photograph. And we've got some portraits that are halved. They're just printed from photograph, but you only get half of it. And so the other half you have to draw. So it works on things like symmetry, right? Because you're going to echo what's on one side onto the other side. It also works on scale, right? Because I want to match the eye this side to that side, which sounds really easy, but it's not. My Drawing 102 classes. So everybody in all my Drawing 102 classes are a Monday or Tuesday class. So we don't have to worry about that Thursday class being ahead. But so you guys are on week 3. All the 102 realistic classes are on week 3. You did gestural figure drawings with poses last week, and I got some really great pictures, and so I'm going to get them out on social. I'm a little behind on that. We'll talk about that in housekeeping on why Allison's behind on everything. But so they'll do drawing from imagination this week, right? So we've done it from life, photograph, and imagination. So this week is imagination. They're going to use kind of the same stuff we learned in figure, but instead of having a model in front of you, you're going to imagine your model, right? We do have our little, he's way over there, I can't reach him, but we do have our doll and our mannequins to help a little bit, but we really want them to be like, okay, so if I'm going to draw a guy and he's wearing a, a ball cap, what does that look like? Because there's a lot more problem solving that has to happen when we draw from our imagination than when we just have to look at it and draw what we see. At least that's what I find anyway. I think it's a lot harder. But so we'll have some tools for them to help kind of problem solve that, but for the most part, everything will come from their imagination. And then Drawing 102 comic and cartooning classes. Remember, February is kind of our month where we fit in a whole bunch of lessons that don't go anywhere else, but they're fan favorites. We have to do them. We've done so far TV animals, we've done robots and mecha suits, and then we're doing onomatopoeia this week. So Thursday artist, you're a week ahead. So you did onomatopoeia last week. This week will be your wild card week. For my Monday and Tuesday artists, this will be the week that we work on that text art. So we do block lettering, we do graffiti style lettering, we do bubble style lettering, and a little bit about how you illustrate a word. So that way the meaning of the word also comes across in the illustration. So they're doing that. It's always a favorite one for everyone. And again, we can go back and we can use those technical skills from last month. We can use things like cross-hatching and scrumbling and stippling. We can use our coloring skills, our inking skills, that kind of stuff. Great way to exercise that. Our wildcard week for our Thursday artists, this is when you go back through your journal and you find a lesson that you'd either like to finish. Maybe there's this drawing you really loved and you just didn't have enough time to finish it. A lesson that you had some struggles with, and you can go back in and tackle it again or get some additional help on it. It's also a time for us they've got their blank comic books that they're working through kind of in their free draw time so they can spend their time doing that. So not a class party, definitely still work time. It's just a little bit more open on, or individualized, I guess, on what they want to do. All right, Drawing 103. I did bring some examples. Not a lot, though. Drawing 103 here in Liberty, anyway. Everybody, they're Monday, Tuesdays, so they've only got 2 lessons under their belt. So everyone's still kind of in the sketching stages. We haven't seen a lot of finishing. My comic classes are doing their challenge is a team or a grouping of characters that, of course, kind of go together. and they're in a dynamic pose. So picture like, never mind. I can't think of, I'm not a comic person, you guys. Picture a whole bunch of superhero characters that Grace is gonna kill me. That all go together because they're in the same world and they're in one amazing poster together advertising a movie. That's what we're doing. Except for the fact that it has to be a unique character, which is why Miss Allison does not need to know superhero characters to write curriculum. None. But let me show you what our artists are doing. So they're in the sketching stages. Remember that they should be in some sort of dynamic pose, should have some personality, right? It's not just an encyclopedia of comic book characters. And they are existing in a space together, which is harder than you think, right? Picture like when your family goes and gets portraits done and the layering that has to happen, right? And the spacing. So got some really great problem solving that's happening here. I like this one because it's different, right? Some of them are in a vertical composition, some of them are in a horizontal composition. I like it. So they're finishing their sketching. They should have gotten their sketches done, which is what this is, last week in week 2. And then in week 3, is this week, we're going to start on all that inking. That way in week 4, we can do all of the finishing and all of the like coloring and stuff. My 103 advanced realistic kids, you guys are doing a metamorphosis drawing. A lot of them are still in the figuring and sketching stages, but I did have one that was a little bit further along. And so wanted to show you hers. So her metamorphosis goes from, a strawberry to a flower or a flower to a strawberry. There is an element of kind of hyperrealism that you need in order for that transition to happen. So for them, there's also a lot of research, right? So if I'm going to make a jellyfish go into an umbrella or an umbrella into a jellyfish, the first thing I have to do is figure out how do I draw a jellyfish? And then how do I draw an umbrella? I mean, I can draw like a clip art version of the umbrella, but that's not the point. Like it's not a cartoony line drawing. It's supposed to be surrealistic. So we're looking for something in realism. Makes it tricky. All right, a couple housekeeping things for these guys, and then I'll let you go. First things first, I'm begging you. If you are sick, please stay home. We saw so many snotty kids in the studio last week. And I know there's stuff going around. I know it stinks to miss out because kids are sick. But we are a small team here, and we are just trying to stay as healthy as possible. I had to cover a lot of classes last week because my staff was sick. And I'm not saying they got sick from here. They could have gotten sick from everywhere, but we just want to do our part and help everybody stay as healthy as they can. So if your kid has green stuff coming out their nose and wiping boogers on artwork, they need to stay home. Okay. Yeah, that's all. All right. And then the next I've got to tell you is we've got some things that opened. Registration opened last week. So there's the annual like egg decorating workshop that's coming up, and then the spring break mini camps. Last I saw, Flatwood spring break mini camp was like almost full, maybe 1 or 2 spots left. Liberty still has plenty of room. And then the last thing is just a reminder, if you're a studio club member, not this Friday, but next Friday, that's when your summer registration will begin. So you can go in and register for your summer camp. How fun is that? Sound good? All right. That is all that I have for everybody. I hope that you have a wonderful President's Day and a great week ahead. And if you need anything from me, of course, you know where to find me, but otherwise I will chat with you soon.